Okay. So, in this session, workshop, we're going to be looking at trim sheets. I'm going to be using this session to utilize the trim sheets that I made for a tutorial. So this is going to be the real-time version of the asset creation process for that. I have created some assets previously, so let's have a quick look at those. So we're looking at these three. So we have our diffuse, we have our metallic and smoothness, and we have our normal. So basically we have some wood, some concrete, and some plain texture. We could probably update this, but for today I'll just work with this. And we're going to use just this one texture to see if we can do some interesting assets, like a house or something interesting to create that environment. So let's jump in, shall we? Okay, so first up, I'm going to create a material so we can actually see what it's working with. So with our base color, this is in Blender, by the way. So we can add image texture. We can go open. And in this case, I'm going to use the... Hey, rock and roll, how's it going? Nice to see you again. No video? Ah, good point. Yes. There we go. Thanks for pointing that out. I also need to modify this, so one moment. There we go. So we have video. Is that better? Thumbs up if you can see it. There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks for bringing it up. Happy to see you too. Now, where was I? I was on a roll, and you correctly diverted that roll, but now I have to go back onto... we have our video, we have our trim sheets, we have our thing, and an albedo texture, like so. And then if we go there, yeah, so that's applied. All right, so in our fantastic object here, we can see our UV editing, which looks like that. So what we're basically doing is we're going to be creating assets that use UV in interesting ways that allow us to basically control exactly what is going on with our texture. Just as a simple example, for example, just as a simple idea, I can create that. And if I had that, we can sort of create that sort of wood aspect. Now, if I use all transforms, that'll make that better. Which one's this? So then we can use this. So split the selection. And I want to do the same sort of thing there. To there. So we have our sort of wood. Now that is on the wrong side. So let's rotate that. So our wood object. Let's actually make these ones the same as well. So we have sort of like a wood object. Now that's incorrect, so we actually want to go the right way. And that's the right way. Cool. And then we want one as well on the bottom. So let's check that out. I think it needs to rotate that way. Now for moving these objects, I'm just using the same assets that we use in the main. So G and X and Y. When it comes to, so GY to move it up and GX to move it down. So it's all pretty basic. We need to flip that one. And let's say we want to create sort of like a let's go that way, like so, and the same with this side. And then that way. Okay. So this is just a simple example of basically using trim sheets or trim sheet material to create an object that we want. Now, if we wanted to, we could actually let's do this. So shift duplicate, and let's add our no. Let's add our normal map to the normal map. Where's the normal map? Down there. That's there. So when we go full, and we have a light which we took out, you could possibly see the normal map. You can kind of see it there. Very vague because we have no light. Let's put one in, shall we? So layout. I don't think I've ever added a light. There we go. Sun. Put it up. What do we got? Angle. And there we go. We have our normal map. So you can sort of see the results there. So yeah, that is basically what we're going to be looking at in a more complicated structure. So what can we make with wood and concrete and things like that? So I was thinking kind of like making a house of some sort. So we could sort of start with that. Now, if you hold it to there, it doesn't show you what the texture looks like. And for the moment, that's kind of what we want, because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with that. So let's get into it. So, how is everybody today? Did everyone enter a portal hub? Looking forward to seeing everyone's work on that. So let's make a small house, shall we? Okay. What kind of roof? We don't have. Oh, we might be able to do it with kind of like that as a ceiling. Yeah, let's do that. Using Shift R to redo whatever I do, whatever I last did, I guess you could say. So let's do that for a small roof. Yep. So at the moment, I'm not really worrying about the trim sheets, although I do have what is on the texture in mind as I'm creating it. Now, of course, you would kind of create your, you might create your asset before creating the texture map, and a bit of a mix between that. So it just depends on how you want to create your environment. So there's a lot of elements there, but yeah. Let's sort of put... Actually, what I might do is extend that and sort of make that concrete. So if the ground is like a terrain, then it doesn't look terrible at the bottom there. What else do we need? We need a door. And some windows. Let's just focus on a door. Scale that way. Actually, let's Actually, let's just leave it flat. And then we can just make a door with the wood, for example. So that'd be kind of cool. Next up, I'm going to get rid of... Actually, I'm going to put these up there. Actually, that one, and that one at last. And then we can get rid of this one. Delete, dissolve edges. Done. The problem with that, I didn't think about this. I'm going to get rid of these two, actually. Nah, it doesn't work. Okay. Make these as... Nope, this one. So we just want some sort of like simple windows. So S for scale, Z for Z, 0, and then move them down a little bit. There. Okay. Let's see if we can get rid of these two now. Yep. There we go. And K for a knife, and then put that across there. Let's just move all of that down a little bit to there. Okay. Same with these. Let's just make a couple of windows. Kind of want to make these the same. That's not what we want. We want individual origins, and then scale that down. And that's good. Yeah, that works. Now we want a sort of wooden frame around the door, like so. And we want to extrude all of these. Now this might go in the wrong direction. Nope, that's actually pretty good. And yeah, we'll leave that for now. And we also want to get rid of sort of these. So let's get rid of that and that. Alright. So that's all neat. Let's extrude these a little bit. So let's do that one. That's good. Cool. Another thing I'd like to sort of show is that we can actually do curved objects as well. So I'm just trying to think where we could do that. Let's do an arched roof, shall we? So let's see if this works. Yeah, that's cool. Done. All right. So we have our basic example. Now this is very, very simple, but once again, just trying to show an example of what we can do with our one trim sheet. Now we actually want this one. So let's start with the wood, shall we? So let's do all of these. Yeah. Now for the sake of this, I'm just going to use Smart Project. Sorry, yeah, Smart UV Project. And we have that sort of effect there. Now in this case, we actually need all of our assets. So we've got most of them going this way, and we actually need to go this way. So I'm going to use the correct object. So okay, it's because it's, yeah, okay. So I'm going to split selection and just move that up there. So once again, Shift R to do split selection, G. So because the G is the thing, I'm gonna have to do each one separately. G. So if we grab these ones, we can rotate these like the other directions, like so. And then grab all of these, put them together, and then rotate. Now we probably want, let's say, something like this. So I'm going to put all of these kind of at the same level. Now these are the same width of, because you use Smart Project, that will make sure that all of the assets that we create are kind of the same textile density. So how much space does each one use? Which is what we want. We can do some scaling. We don't want to scale too much, but when you're using trim sheets, you will actually get a fair bit of modifying the object to fit the texture that you've created. Whereas if you're creating a hero asset, all of the textures will be kind of the same. So it's a different approach to creating assets, but it does really allow for optimized use of assets, as we will see as it goes. You can probably tell that it doesn't look very good at the moment, but we're a long way from sort of the end result there, so just wait. So all I'm doing at the moment is sort of creating the assets to the different types. So these ones with the diagonals are sort of the front boards, and the smaller ones are the edge. So I'm just trying to make sure that all of these line up correctly. Now, once again, this trim sheet might not be the best for the things I'm making it for, but I'm sure you can sort of see the goal as it develops. Of course, if you have any questions as we go, feel free to ask. Happy to help with anything that needs looking at. All right. So I'm going to grab all of the top ones and then align them incorrectly, like so, and like so. Same with these. Okay. So say, let's put these a little bit bigger. Let's say one line. I actually like the idea of 1,9. So as you can see, there's a nice border there. And then I lose my selection, so I have to do it all over again. These ones. So for these ones, I'm going to put in the middle, so there's no rise. So then you got that. Okay, so as you can see, these are very nice windows now. Next, let's get rid of these ones. Or just make them look good at least. And once again, UV, Smart Project. So we have those. Now let's rotate them this way. Scale them down. Let's sort of put these ones sort of together once again. Now if I want to make them slightly different, I could sort of mix them up a bit and put them in different sections if I wanted to. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'll keep it pretty simple. Once again, align Y, align Y. And let's put this in here. Now these ones I'm actually going to sort of put on the X. Scale these up So we sort of have a nice sort of shaded effect if we want to. Like so. Which is quite nice. Alright. Let's get these ones. Once again, Smart UV Project. Now these ones, what do I want to do? Let's say we want to do this one color. So let's go scale 0. And let's put them on the, like a really dark, that one. There we go. All right. So the windows are kind of done. Next up, let's look at the door. Smart UV Project. Now this is a good example of where I might want to add assets in order to make it utilize the texture rather than trying to make it as optimized as possible. So let's see. Okay. So I'm going to add a couple of assets here. Now those are not remotely straight. So scale x 0, scale x 0, and then I'm going to move them there. Like so. Yeah, I like that. So once again, do that, scale that down, and this time let's grab this one, split that, and put it here actually. So scale that. And this, I think, needs to go a bit higher as well, to maybe there. So have that nice sort of thing there. And the door can just be a white door. Like so. We want sort of the quality to be quite high, like that. Now, as you can see, I can actually make this bigger. And because it tiles horizontally, that can keep going. So I could actually keep the resolution going as big as I want, as long as it fits within that tile surface there, like so. So I have our door. Now let's once again, let's optimize this a little bit. Okay. I'm also going to delete these because I want to try one thing. So this is actually made of two different. We have a straight line and a brick line. But what I'd like to do is 2 bricks. So I'm going to make our asset have the number of iterations that I would like on the object. So we can put that there. So if we go Smart UV Project, and we want to rotate that. Now, once again, we probably want, actually let's do this. I want to see that. So I'm going to split that, move it there. Now that's the under one. So it's going to be sort of like off a little bit. Like so. So as you can see, there's that. Now we also need to move that up. So let's do that first. So sort of there, but this one goes halfway. Split that. Same again. Like so. And then we need to put these on the same level. Make these all straight. And then we can scale this up a bit so we can get our full brick experience. Now the top one is good, but the bottom one is a little bit off. So I just want to make sure that that is accurate. And the top is a little bit off as well. So let's get that accurate as well. Okay. Now with this one, we can adjust as we need to. So, oops. Make sure we get the right leading and then adjust as needed. All right. So we have our sort of concrete base. We also, this one's an interesting one. I could do a bunch of them to sort of do that block, but in this case, not important, I don't think. What I will do is just do that, rotate it, align it, and then move it into this category. So it's just white. That's fine because that'll never be seen. All right. Next up, we need our walls. All right. So as you can see, it's all a bit of a mess. That's fine. We have this. Now, it doesn't really matter, but once again, we want to sort of tile this as big as we can so we can get the quality as much as we want. As long as it stays in the tiled section of the thing we're looking for, doesn't really matter because it tiles. So there we go. Now the last thing we want to do is this as well. So let's add those. That's fine if I wanted to, and I do. So I'm gonna make sure that those line up. Now the catch here, though, is that our doors, our walls here, for example, will be a different size if we adjust everything to that. So what I could do is just this. So make sure that it fits in. And that way that will tile neatly. Now the next thing we want to do, we didn't. Okay, I'm gonna do that again, like so. Scale to as big as possible for the category or the area of the texture that we want to work with, which is good. And then we want to put these in as well. Might as well put it up the right way. There we go. Alright, so we have our house. The next thing we need to do is our ceiling. Now in this case we sort of want this to be the roof. So we're going to sort of do lines going across through. Now of course this is not going to work, so we're actually going to have to try and get the right length similar to the strip at the top. Like so. If you hold left control and then click to a direction, that will just join everything between, and it's the shortest way between those 2 points, so that's super useful. And then control plus, like numpad plus, will go bigger. So once again, Smart UV project 66. Yep, that's what we want. Now for these two, we're going to worry about those in a sec by splitting them and then moving them off. Which one is that? Nope, that's correct. All right. So what we need to do is each of these is going to go on top of the previous one. So yeah, let's do this. So we're going to split selection and just put it up at the top. Now it says it has shortcuts there, so I'm going to click that. Alt M Y. It's kind of shorter just to do the. Blender's really good in that it shows you all of the hotkeys, but to be honest, this is actually fast enough, so I'm just going to stick with that one. The thing is, if you do this and then select and then do this, it doesn't actually disconnect it, so you actually have to move it. So that's a bit of a quirk, if you want to call it that. I don't know if they've fixed that with the latest version. I think this is, what version of this? 3.12. So yeah, they have not fixed that in 3. So split and then move, and that will do what you want it to. Right. So if we get all the vertices and then align those to Y, those to Y, and those to X, and to X. Now this one was a bit of a different thing, so I'm actually going to just make sure that that does the thing that I want it to. Once again, let's just apply these. and these. Okay. Now next up, I'm going to scale that up as much as I can. And once again, because it's a loop, you have that sort of roof effect. Kind of, anyway. So you get the idea. Now, these ones are a little bit different. But as a curve, we can sort of straighten these out. Now, there are better ways to do this, but I'm actually honestly not that sure as to how. Like, there are tools that make this much faster, but with just, what is it, Shift R and whatever I did, which was align X, it's quick enough. I do have to spend some time to see if I can figure out a better way to do this, though. Okay, so that's that side, and I want to do the same with this side as well. So let's grab that, put that over here. Once again, Alt click on an object will select the edge loop. This is why edge loops are very important. And Alt X. So once again, back to Shift R to do what we've done. Now those are all straight, so I don't have to worry about those too much. And then these. Now I want this edge to be the same. So let's move that one down. And actually scale down a bit. And this one as well. Okay. So we got that. We want this one, so we can select the whole object. No, this one. So we select the whole object. That's the one. I can go there. Let's scale that up a bit. Once again, we sort of want to keep everything pretty much the same size. Now this one was edited because I thought it was the roof, but it is not. So it's just the side of the roof. So 2 to move to these different modes. So vertex, line, face, and object. So super useful for these sort of things. So 2, 2, and go down. Line Y. And then the next thing, we want this to sort of be, let's put the hole on it as well. So large scale, make sure that's good. Yep. And as you can see, we have our sort of effect there. Now that's a bit longer than this one, so we could probably adjust that. So we can either make that shorter, but I think this one and this one should be longer. So scale X, like so. I think that's good. Okay. So we have our object. Now these seem very similar, so I'm gonna sort of mix these up a bit. Like so. Simply by G. Doesn't look very similar, but kind of something. Yeah. Holding space to choose different ones. And the last thing we need to do is these ones. Now this one, yeah, we could actually keep that as is. So let's split that, rotate that, and same thing again. So flatten these out, and then we can put these along a different path. So let's there we go. Scale up. Scale up. Now, where do we want these? Once again, I'm going to make sure these line up. And then move them on. Yeah, maybe this one. I think that'll look good for the undercover of that. Actually, we could do a half. That'll be kind of cool. Yeah. Just make sure it's the right way, which it is not. So some of these. So that's good. That's good. This is not. And this is not. So we're going to grab that and then flip them around. Like so. Perfect. All right. Now I don't like the door so much. So what I'm going to do is this. So once again, we've got our sort of 4 doors there. Okay. Rotate those. And we want to put these on here. So let's flatten these ones. Get a bit wider down. We don't want to get that second one in. We just want to get that first one. And that looks good. Okay. So there we go. So as noted, this is a very, very simple version of trim sheets. Basically, I made this very quickly. So I made the texture in about maybe 45 minutes, and I made this house in 45 minutes. And yeah, this is a whole house with one texture. Now, with more design and focus, and a bit more of an idea of exactly what you want to do, you could, of course, create a much more important or more aligned texture for the objects you're trying to create. So there are lots of very good examples of trim sheets and how they are used in YouTube tutorials and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's just an interesting case of making sure you know and understand all of the tools to create the assets that you need. So let's see what this looks like in a space, I guess. Let's cancel that and make a new space. All right. So we have our model, house, selected. Let's apply a transform. Let's load space scenes. Let's get rid of this one, remove scene. Now we have our model in here. Now we need a material and we need some textures, so let's pull that up. Into there. Cool. So we have our textures: plane, trim sheet, metallic and smoothness, and normal. And fix. Good. We have our house, object, materials, which we have, and then we can drop that in there. Cool. And then we can drop our asset here. It actually looks better here than it did in Blender. There's that. So yeah, and as you can see, the material is all cleaned up there, so it looks very nice. The detail, like if you look really close, like if you get that close, it doesn't look the best. But if you look like pretty close, like the quality is quite high. Same with here. Same with the blocks down there. Let's move it up a little bit so we can sort of see that. Notice how you've got the edge there, so that allows us for 2 brick rows. And yeah. So yeah, we have our trim sheets. Now, of course, if we look at sort of Adobe ArtStation and see what else they've got for trim sheets, let's have a quick look at these. So, of course, certain people are very good at their trim sheets, so creating this allows you to create all sorts of things. So if you wanted to, you could create your trim sheet using ZBrush, and then you've got these hard lines that allow you to create kind of similar to what we worked on. Most like AAA games will use this technology. So for example, God of War will use their sort of very high detailed trim sheets to add detail to environments, and then you can sort of cut up objects and assets to sort of put these elements around an object, and then you have this. So if you look at these trim sheets, they've actually managed to create this sort of like frame using that with the UV map. So super useful for complicated objects in an environment, because you don't have to unwrap and create your asset as a hero asset every single time. So by creating really interesting trim sheets, for example, these, so you have really good sort of sci-fi trim sheets as well, and that allows you to sort of cut up and make really interesting environments. My first environment in the bounty, well, let's have a look at that, shall we? Gaslery. Let's try that again. Yeah. Interesting. Let's see if that is a browser issue. There. Browser issue it is. So if we find MySpace, where's that one? This one. So a lot of these floors, a lot of these assets, pretty much this whole space, to be honest, was made with trim sheets. With, I think, 4 or 5 assets that I purchased. So that floor, for example, is like you have a quadrant of a hex, and it just creates that asset like so. These floors are also trim sheets. Stairs are trim sheets. Floors are trim sheets. Chairs are trim sheets. Even the cushion, for example, is just an asset with a cushion. So that looks really good, I feel, anyway. These walls, these ceilings, the fences, those couches, the pylons, for example. Most of these assets in this sort of sci-fi element, so even the floor here is a trim sheet as well. So yeah, trim sheets are super useful for large environments, because you don't have to create custom assets for every single thing. And it also reduces the number of materials in your space, which is very important when it comes to optimizing your space for browser or Mona environment. So once again, this is all trim sheets. So I may have added like a line across here, so to create these assets there. These steps, for example, also trim sheets, and the ceiling. So yeah, quite a lot. So yeah, most of this whole environment comes down to about maybe 10 materials. So you've got the colors, the NFT textures, black metal, 4 or 5 trim sheet textures that I've used a lot. Some of them with different colors. So I had white ones and dark ones. And then of course all the custom things for the animated water in these objects, and the metallic objects here. So yeah, quite a lot. And of course the buildings and I think even the reactor at the end there, that uses the same dark textures as like some of these ones. So the gray floor and the gray seat is a gray asset for those objects. So yeah, basically trim sheets are super useful, and should definitely be a skill on any builder's what would you call it, skill set, in order to optimize their space accordingly. So if you have any questions in regards to these, feel free to throw them here, or of course the Discord at any time. But yeah, we should I'll be making a quick tutorial on trim sheets, using the video for today, to create the assets and discussions that we've looked at. So hopefully that will be useful. Apart from that, what do we got? So let's... Is this a trim sheet? Because that'd be super useful. Yeah, trim sheet, trim sheet, trim sheet. Apex Legends uses them. Yeah, it's pretty common, especially for environments. For all the reasons given, Doom has them, Gears has them. Prime example. Hopefully this has, yeah, trims. Even says them. Then you can use that, and then with this one, for example, you could have like a 4 cube object and then rotate it so it's a full circle. So that would be super useful. Darksiders. Valhalla. So yeah, pretty common. There are a lot of assets you can purchase that have trim sheets. Either on ArtStation or Unity Store also has some, I believe. So yeah, easy to get if you can't be bothered making your own. But if you're creating, well, sci-fi is pretty easy. You can have, like, you could buy a bunch of sci-fi assets and just create them. But if you have something custom, like a house that you want, or like a particular style that you're going for, then yeah, you'll probably have to make your own. Making trim sheets is a mix of like Photoshop, Substance Painter, ZBrush, whatever works for the purposes of that you want. Here's an interesting example of like creating buildings based on sort of trim sheets as well. So yeah. So it makes sense to get into it. And then we have that. Now, yeah, the problem with this one is our lights aren't really designed for that in mind. So let's see if we can actually fix that. So let's go point light, maybe. And let's make this super strong. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, let's get rid of that. Move down to this. So yeah. All right. That's about it for this lesson, I guess, or this session. I think I'll probably wrap it up there just so I can move on to some other docs. I'd like to get this documentation and the video done so I can sort of release that to other people. So that'll be sort of a mix of a time lapse of what we did today, so we can sort of show what can be done. But once again, just choosing a more accurate approach to creating, say, in this case, I would have made maybe glass windows or some curtains, for example, and a roof, as well as maybe... No, I quite like the sides. So there's lots of different approaches to it. So we'll leave it at that. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and have a good day.